Okay, so we got our resin. I haven't got it stirred up yet, but I've got my timer on. And we're going to go for about 4 minutes. Again, I did 8 ounces of A, 8 ounces of B of the J. Diction epoxy resin. It's high gloss, supposed to be low viscosity, and I'm positive I'm going to order some more of this. Here in West Virginia, the temperature, you can have all 4 seasons in 1 week, sometimes in 2 or 3 days. So today it was like in the 60s, almost 70, and it's supposed to snow this weekend, or the first of the week. So it's a little crazy, but I just wanted to give you a quick update. As you can see, we got 8 ounces in here, and we're going to stir it and make sure there's no striation marks in there. That could be, leftover resin from the side of one or the other. And I will be back as soon as I get this done. Okay, we're coming up on about 45 seconds. So, looking at what I have left to do, which is not a whole lot, I've decided that when I go to mix some of the white pigment paste with a little bit of this resin, I'm not going to need a whole lot. I just need enough to just kind of give it some wave look, like the ocean waves as it hits the shore. So I've mixed up white and brown sand, and I've added just a tiny little bit of a translucent kind of blue glitter to that. So that is what we're going to pour into first, is our sand, and let that get soaked up a little bit. Because I don't need a whole lot for the turtle's legs, for the big one. The small one has everything it needs. But I'm thinking about putting a seashell right in the center of it, even though we've got that real pretty holographic film in there. So I think that would be a cute little touch. I don't know yet. We might just leave it at that and try a seashell in it next time. And just to see what we can do with it. Alright, so I've put a little bit of resin in in a medicine cup, and we'll add just a little bit more. This is what our blue paste is going to go in. And that is going to be for like our deeper edge, if you will. Like the deeper water, put it that way. Alright, that should about do it for that. Alright, so we're going to set this aside. That's for the white. Then we'll do a cup for our turquoise blue for our more shallow ocean section. Okay, yeah, because we want to do a dark blue on the little turtle, I think. Maybe if I have too much sand, we might use the sand too, just to be safe. So I'll wipe off my cup here because it's a little bit messy down the spout. So we're going to start mixing up our sand, even though it hasn't had a lot of time to sit. So I want to make it, hoping I didn't put too much resin in there because I don't want it real runny. Otherwise it's not going to do me any good. Yep, I've added way too much resin to that. I don't know if you can see those pretty green sparkles in there, the blue sparkles. Just a little hint to help bring out the other colors that might be in that holographic film. Alright, I'm going to have to add a little bit more sand to that, I think. I need a little spoon so I don't make too big of a mess. Use a little bit of a finer grit because sand's never 100% one color. It's like all kinds of seashells and whatnot. And this is still kind of a tanning, brownish type color. But maybe it'll help soak up some more of that resin. Just a smidge. Alright. Still going to need some more. Definitely going to have a lot of sandy resin. That's okay. I'll find something to use it with. And since we've used extra sand, I'm going to add just a tiny bit more of this really pretty iridescent blue to kind of mimic the water, the blues in the water, and make it sparkle just a little bit. Okay. Now we'll get that all mixed together. And then I don't think I'm going to add anything else to that. It's still pretty thin, but we're going to work with it. Alright, so while this is setting for a minute, I'll set that over there. I'm going to add my white paste to that tiny little bit. Now all we're going to do is kind of a little bit of white on right. That's all I'm going to use for right now. I can always add more if I need to. And yeah, I think we're going to add just a smidge more. Alright, we'll use a toothpick, that way we don't add too much. I don't want it to be overly or overpowering, but once I add it to the blue, it's going to need to be able to spread and thin out just a little bit, just like the ocean waves would. And I want to make sure that it's going to be able to spread out just the way I need it to. Kind of make it look like the froth on the ocean. And we'll add a little bit more than that. Alright. No more than that, because I've probably overdone it. Alright. Put that away. Now, for this real pretty metallic, as you can see, it's very, very smooth. It's very shimmery, and it is extremely pigmented. So we're going to put that in this cup. So, wipe off our toothpick and give that a mix. Okay, I think that's going to be perfect. Alright, so I'll set that aside for the moment. Okay, we'll mix up the blue and see if we need any more. Like I said, it's a very pretty pigmented blue. We'll wipe this off. I'm making a mess. And I think that's all I'm going to use. Look how pretty that is. I think that's going to be just the right amount of blue pigment. Okay. Alright, I'll set that off to the side. We'll put our blue pigment away. Again, I got those from Temu, so it it is what it is. Okay, so trying to think how I want to do this because I've never done this before. So for this is where our turquoise is going to come into play. And again, it's just this little turquoisey thing. It's by Craft Smart. I either got it from Temu or on Amazon. I can't remember which one because I've had it for quite a while. And it's really pretty. I mean, you've seen how it turned out in the top of our little turtle. A real pretty light blue. Now what I haven't really shown you in detail yet is, we're actually doing pretty good on time today. I picked out some shells for our turtle, and those are going to be in the legs, so I'm going to add quite a few. I've already lost count, so that's all right. Quite a few drops of our turquoise. Let's see. Yes, there we go. That is perfect. It's not overly dark, and it's pretty much the perfect color. All right, I think I'm going to estimate it about 7 to 10 drops of our turquoise. So I'm just stirring it up and making sure that I don't have any streaks. Not that it would really matter since it's supposed to be like ocean colors or whatever. All right, put the lid back on, and we'll put that away for now. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside for a minute, and we're going to focus on our big turtle for the moment. Give this another quick stir. Make sure it's not all settled in the bottom of the resin. So don't want it to be all messed up here. So I've got a couple of these little bitty seashells. I'm just kind of tucking it down inside that flipper. And I'm going to put the sand over top of those. I've got one for each of the hind legs. Oops. Get back in there. And then I've got this real pretty one here. We're going to put that in, keep that one in the other leg. And my thoughts are, as I put the sand on top of this, the wet resin can get up underneath of that seashell. And I'm hoping that the sand doesn't overpower that and go up underneath of it too far. And I've got 2 similar shells there and a couple of the little spirals. So I only want this on the legs for the moment. Shoot. So kind of put that down on there a little at a time. And I'm hoping that it's not going to be... and if it goes down into the body, I am not going to worry about it too much. Simply because it's an ocean themed product. Okay. I can always add more resin if I need to down the road. And, you know, I can use the blue if it needs it. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to be too stressed about it. So we'll start with that. And then we'll go to the front leg. Now, I'm not as artistic as some of the different people that I follow on YouTube. However, they have kind of been my inspiration for this project. Again, it's Julie, and then there's Marva from Marvelous Artsy. Marva, if you see this, drop me a comment. I'd be happy to hear from you. There is, and I wish I could remember the name of his channel, but it's Steve. And then there's another gentleman that I follow on my business account. And I cannot think of his name or his page as of right now. but it'll work out in the end. It'll all come to me later, or I can mention them in the next video that I do. So, alright, as you can tell, some of these shells just do not want to cooperate and stay flat. So, we'll just have to work with that a little bit at a time. Alright. Scoot you over just a smidge. Alright, now before I do anything else with that, give this big cup of resin a stir. And what I'm going to do, move him over this way. I'm going to use a little bit, sorry for the hand in the way, of this one in an attempt to kind of drizzle it here in this one's head. Just a little bit. Then I'm going to use some of this really, really pretty dark blue for the base, I think. And then I can use some more of that turquoise to kind of give it just a little bit of a, because that's going to be the deepest part of the body anyway. So we'll let that set for a minute and let it do what it wants to do. Okay, now, kind of leaning, I don't know if I like that one in there or not. Not quite sure. That one may have to come out. All right, you know what? Since this is supposed to be a matching, semi-matching set, we will add some of the turquoise to the head on this one. This one's a little bit deeper anyway. So, and I know I've made way too much resin for these two projects. You know, 3 projects. Alright. So we'll just do the belly of this one in the dark blue as well. There we go. That's going to be really pretty. And I'm going to add just a tiny bit more to the baby. Trying to get a good visual on his turtle here. Like I said, this resin is going to do whatever it wants to do, and it's going to spread the way it wants to. Okay, so I'm not overly concerned about it too much. Alright, so this is going to be the interesting part, because again, never done this before, so we're going to see what we can do on this. So kind of want a little bit of like an ocean kind of thing going here. I don't want it perfect. And I know I've used way too much white in here. Add a little bit down in the crease there. A little bit here. Okay. So, I think I'd like to add a little bit more sand around the outer edges on here. since there are like seashells down in there. So I'm going to start by going up here and just put it around the outside edge. Maybe we'll make this look like a lagoon. That might be pretty. Like the Blue Lagoon from back in, you know, the 80s, the TV movie or the cinema movie, whatever you call it. But I'm trying to not let any of this get overly warm because it'll set up too quick. And I know there's a lot of wet, like not wet resin, but thin resin on the sand. And it may not set up exactly the way I want it. But this is just an experiment anyway, so we'll have to wait and see how this works, or if it will. Like I said, we're going to turn this into like a little Blue Lagoon and see if it works out. Again, I'm not overly concerned about where the sand goes. It is really thin. Like I said, it's just going to be, when I put the turquoisey resin in here, it's going to spread the white just a smidge. And hopefully it will make a really pretty sandbar, because then I can add a little bit of the darker blue in the center as, no, we'll do the dark blue first. That's going to be the deepest part of our little lagoon. So we're going to do that first. Get that out of the way. Yeah, too late now. I'm going to say I got that white on there. Alright, there's that. And now we're going to see what we can do with this. Oh, that's going to be pretty. That's going to be really pretty. Just hoping that that white blooms out a good bit. I'm not 100% thrilled with that seashell on top, but it's already kind of hardened in there. But I'm going to take and pour, oops, don't want to get too much in here. I'm going to let that set for a minute, make sure it's not going to overflow. Okay, so need a toothpick, and we're going to kind of swirl the white just a little bit. Kind of just take your toothpick, maybe. Okay, that's not going to work too good. Grab one of my silicone tools here. Let's see what kind of little patterns we can make with that. Alright, now hopefully that'll move on its own here shortly. So I need my torch, kind of torch the top of that. Just kind of get any bubbles off the surface. Okay. Okay, we're going to add a little bit more sand to the big turtle, I think. Like I said, I know it's going to kind of slide down into the main body, and that's okay. Oops, I am making a horrendous mess here, people. Okay. All right, so now I've still got some of this real pretty turquoise left. And I'm wondering, we'll use some more of this blue, the dark blue. And then I can just a tiny bit. And use that. All right, now, whoa, my chair just went flat on me here. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to finish off these turtles with this real pretty turquoise. And it should, with a little help, hope that's not too much, and it's probably going to be a little too much. Shoot. Okay, no big deal. Give him a little helping hand here to the ends of his flippers. Okay, now, need a piece of paper towel. And we're going to get some of the excess stuff off of there because it is overflowing. And that is easy to do. So, just kind of set it there. And pick straight up. All right, now clean up the edge. Okay, we're gonna let that set for a minute. Now, add some more turquoise in here. Trying to make, some adjustments here and there because I know it's not necessarily going to be 100% of what I want it to be, and that's all right. Resin is fickle, and you just kind of got to do what you got to do. So a little bit more on these flipper, just a tiny bit. All right, there's that. So that is pretty much all I can do with those 3 pieces. So a quick torch, and hopefully we can unmold first thing tomorrow, and I will keep you posted when it's unmolding time. Thanks for watching, guys. See you when we unmold tomorrow. Bye-bye.